recipient, Des Moines area Justice Day. Thank you all, and thank you for your continued participation in this event and your continued witness to all of us. Board Member Frank Cordaro has the privilege and honor of introducing our speaker this evening.
Thank you, David. Kelly is from Chicago, and she was raised in an Irish Catholic family. I, on the other hand, was raised in an Italian Catholic family. But they're not much different, and we've covered a lot of the formational groundwork together. She taught at area community colleges and high schools between the years 1974 and 1986, and during these years she was active in the Catholic worker movement. And she was a pacifist and a war tax refuser, and therefore has refused to pay all federal income tax and continues to do so. In 1988, she was sentenced to 1 year in prison for planting corn, for God's sake, on a nuclear missile silo site. She served 9 months of that sentence at the Lexington, Kentucky maximum security prison. And in the spring of 2004, she served another 3 months at the Pekin Federal Prison for crossing the line at Fort Benning at School of Americas. The first U.S.-led war in Iraq, and Kathy took her witness to a whole new level, an international level. Dear friends, I don't need to tell you all that the hardest thing to do in this country, the United States, is to know the truth. The biblical, New Testament, from the bottom of Jesus' truth about what's actually happening in the world. Nowhere is this more difficult than in times of war, when our country is in a fight and we're doing the killing in someone else's land and nation. The truth of any war is never known by the person who shoots the gun, by the one who pushes the button of the missile, by the person who drops the bombs from the planes. The truth of every and any war is always discovered by the ones who receive the bullets, who are bound on, who are dying. In 1991, Kathy spent the first 2 weeks of the first U.S.-led war against Iraq as part of a peace encampment on the Iraq-Saudi border called the Gulf Peace Team. Following their evacuation to Amman, Jordan, the team stayed another 5-6 months to help coordinate medical relief convoys and study teams. This was Kathy's true baptism in the truth-seeking life of telling the truth to Americans about what we do to other people in other lands, especially in times of war. When she returned to the United States, she helped organize and participate in nonviolent direct action teams in Haiti in the summer of 1994, and then in Bosnia in December of 92, and again in August of 93. And yet, through all this time, her time in Iraq and the people she left there weighed heavy in her heart. In 1986, she helped start the Voices in the Wilderness campaign to end the UN-US sanctions against Iraq. You remember those sanctions? The first 6 years of those sanctions, the UN documented that over 500,000 children died directly because of those sanctions. And another person who claimed to speak truth, a Secretary of State, I might add, of this country, a woman named Madeleine Albright, when asked about that 500,000 children in Iraq killed by our nonviolent sanctions. And asked whether it was worth it or not, she reluctantly but positively said yes. Yes, it's worth it. People like Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State, are not speaking from the